Hello everyone, my name is Abubakar Salim and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to create a very simple game and I'm going to name this game Bounce Ball. Now, first I will play this game in front of you so that you can have idea what we'll be doing in the program. So let me click on this flag button. A ball is falling down and we have to move this object at the bottom and we have to stop the ball from falling down. So that's a simple game that we are going to create. And whenever it hits the object that we are moving, the score increases. And as if we fail to hit the object and it touches the bottom ground, the game stops, the game ends. So this is the game that we are going to create today. Before starting the project, let me tell you something. There are three objects here. The first object here is a ball which is moving from upper direction to downward direction. So we'll be implementing code on this ball. Apart from that, we'll be implementing code on this moving object. Okay, so let's start the code. I'll be opening a new tab and I'll be opening Scratch. And now I will be creating a blank project for me. So here it is. The first thing that I'll be doing is I'll be removing this cat sprite from the stage. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to choose a sprite, ball sprite from the gallery. The next thing that we need is an object that we can move to stop the ball from going down. And it's a rectangle. So for that, I'm going to draw a rectangle. And for that, I'll be clicking on this paint option. To draw a rectangle, we will be clicking on this rectangle option and I will draw a rectangle here. Okay. Now let me just reposition it at the center. And if you want to change the color of this, you can change it. It totally depends on you. So right now I'm going to choose this color. And this is the object that I'm going to use to move. Now I'm going to switch to the code and let me change the size of this. Yeah, it's okay. And let me change the size of this ball to 80. That's fine. So first I will be implementing code on this rectangle. And for that, first of all, I'll be choosing an event when flag button clicked. And whenever this flag button is clicked, I want to change the position of my rectangle to this current position -3 on x-axis and -111 on y-axis. Now whatever the position is, it will change its position to -3 -11 whenever I will click on this flag button. The next thing that I want to do is I want to move this object. Okay, so for that I'll be using a loop because I want to move the rectangle forever. So I'll be using a forever loop. And I want to move this rectangle using arrow keys. So whenever right arrow key is pressed, the rectangle will move in the right direction, and whenever left arrow key is pressed, the rectangle will move in the left direction. So to check which key is pressed, we'll be using if condition, and if right arrow key is pressed, to check that we'll be clicking on this sensing option, and here is an option key pressed. So right now space key is there, but I'll be choosing this right arrow key, and I will move the rectangle 10 steps. So let me click on this flag button, and now when I will be clicking, whenever I'll be pressing on this right arrow key, my object will move. But it is not moving on the left side because we haven't implemented code for the left side. So I'll be doing that again. I'll be using if condition again, and I'll be moving my object -10 to move it to the left position, and the key that I'm going to choose for this is left arrow key. Now when I will start the game, my rectangle is moving in the right direction when I press the right arrow key, and left direction when I press the left arrow key. So I think right now we have implemented the code for this. The next thing that we are going to do is we are going to implement the code on this ball. So first of all, I want to move the ball at the top whenever the flag button is clicked. So for that, I'll be choosing this go to -25 on x-axis and 154 on y-axis. So whatever the position of the ball is, it will go at the top. The next thing that I'll be doing is I'll be changing the direction of the ball randomly. So let me again take you to that game. Whenever I click on this flag button, the ball move downward, but every time the direction, the angle of the movement of the ball is different. Sometimes it comes straight down, sometimes the angle is different. So angle is always changing. You can see that angle is always changing. So to do that, I'll be using point in direction option, and right now it's 90, but we have to change it, and we have to change it randomly. And for that, I'll be going to operators, and I'll be using pick random, and I'll be choosing angle from -160 to 160. You can change the value. I have picked it randomly. You can also change. You can use -90 to 90. It totally depends on you. So right now I'm using okay, I'm using -90 to 90. And after that, I want my ball to move. So let me implement that. And for that, I'll be using forever loop because I want my ball to move forever. So for that, to move the ball, I'll be using move 10 steps. And let me click this flag button. So the ball moved, but it went out of the screen. We don't want this to happen. So in order to avoid this, we'll be using an option that is present in motion code snippet, and it is on if on edge bounce. Now what does this do? It does not allow the ball or any object to go outside the frame, outside the stage. It will keep the ball in this frame, and whenever it touches the edge, it will bounce back. So now when I will click on this flag button, you can see that the ball is moving, but whenever it touches the edge, it bounces back, just like a normal ball that we have in our daily life. When we throw the ball in the downward direction, and when it touches the floor, it bounces back. So the same thing has been implemented here, that whenever it touches any of the edge, it bounces back. So this is very important thing that we can use in our code. But right now, it is not sensing this rectangle. For that, I'll be implementing some other code. Okay. Now I want to check if it hits this rectangle, it move in upward direction. And for that, I'll be using if condition from control, and I'll be putting it in this forever loop. If I go to this sensing option, if touching sprite 1, the name of my rectangle is sprite 1, so I'll be selecting this. If the ball touches this sprite, now what I want to do is I want to point it back to other direction. So now let me implement this. Now when the ball will touch the ground, it is moving, but the problem is that it has changed its direction to 90, and now it is not changing its direction. So if we want to change its direction randomly, we'll do the same thing that we have done before. We'll be using random and -30 to 30. Now let me implement this. Now you can see that the ball is hitting on the rectangle and going back. The next thing that we have to do is we have to implement the score. Okay, so I'll be creating a variable, and I'm going to rename it to score, and I want to display it on the screen. Whenever the flag button is clicked, set score to 0. And when it touches rectangle, change score by 1. So we have implemented this touch script or to sprite 1 here, and I'll be changing the score if it's this rectangle. So now you can see the score is changing. Okay. The next thing that we have to do is we have to stop the game, and for that we will be using another sprite, and I'll be using this button 3, and I'll change its size to 1000. Now you can see that it is representing the bottom line, and if the ball will touch this line, the game will stop. So for that, I will again click on this ball option, and if condition will be used here again. If ball touches the ground, and yeah, sensing option, if the ball touch if the ball touch button 3, the name of this sprite is button 3, I want to stop the game. And I'll be finding this stop option. I think it is in the events. No, it's in control. Yeah, stop everything. Okay. Now when I will click on this flag button, you can see that ball is moving, and when it will touch the ground, the game will stop. Okay. So you can also do one more thing. If you want to increase the difficulty, you can do it. So let's suppose I want to increase the score when I want to increase the speed of the ball to increase the difficulty after the score is greater than 10. So for that, I'll be using this if condition. Let me insert it again. And if, just give me a second. If else will be used here. If score is, and for that I'll be using operator. If score is less than 10, if score is less than 10, the speed of the ball will be 10 steps. Else, the movement speed will be 15. Okay. So this is an extra thing that I'm going to add in this code. I will be deleting this block. Now let me play the game. Right now, the ball is moving. The speed is 10. But as soon as the score will increase, reaches 10 value, the speed of the ball will increase. Now you can see the speed has increased. So this feature has been added just to increase the difficulty. And this is a very simple game that we have created. And I hope that you have liked the video and you have understood the concept. If there is any question, please let me know in the comment section, and please share this video with your friends, and please subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.